Hello again, this is Rod Saunders from Jew and Greek with another video on my old buddy Justin Peters. In this video, he was in England telling our limey brothers and sisters all about the dangers of the Word of Faith when he offered this gem.
It seems that this chap, was it Kenneth Hagin? He was. Would you say he was the father of the modern prosperity gospel?
Yes.
And someone told me that Kenneth Copeland was his follower, but he pinched a lot of his stuff. Is that right?
Kenneth Copeland began as the pilot for Kenneth Hagin.
No, Justin. Kenneth Copeland wasn't Kenneth Hagin's pilot. He was Oral Roberts' pilot. Kenneth Hagin's pilot was Brian McCallum, a retired Air Force pilot who attended Rhema and eventually became an instructor there. I provided links to verify this in the description below. I knew Brian McCallum. He was a great guy. I took 2 of his classes, Angels and Demons and Eschatology. I also did a couple of counseling sessions with him because at the time I was into eschatology and I had a lot of questions. The last time I saw him was at a McDonald's in Broken Arrow about 7 years ago. He passed away a few years later. But he was Kenneth Hagin's pilot from 1980 until Brother Hagin went to be with the Lord in 2003. Kenneth Copeland flew for Oral Roberts back in the 1960s, years before Kenneth Hagin Ministries even purchased a plane. Just more evidence that Justin Peters doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to the Word of Faith. In this next clip, we'll see a fascinating exchange with Justin and a lady who tells him that she fell under the power of God after prayer for an ovary problem, and afterwards she found that she was healed. Now, I need to set this up for you so that you'll understand the context. Justin Peters was explaining how the charismatic way of falling under the power of God is unscriptural, and that the only biblical precedent is when people fall forward in worship.
There's not a shred of biblical evidence that would support this practice of being slain in the Spirit. What you do find, on occasion, there are people who fall before the Lord in His presence in worship, but without exception, they always go down face forward.
So, no sooner had he said this than when the lady tells him her story.
And I did have ovary problem at the time, and I was going to have an operation. And my husband and I were at a businessman's dinner, and the speaker, he said, if anyone has a problem, come forwards. Well, obviously I went forwards, and as he prayed for me, I did go backwards. But then, okay, we say judgment, but I was lying on the floor, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I want to get up now, and obviously I couldn't get up because and I'm thinking, well, okay, Lord. But then I did hear that still small voice that speaks to you, and I heard, I'm going to heal you through your body. Yeah. So I relaxed, and in 2 days, my ovary problem was not an ovary problem anymore, and I didn't have to go and have the operation.
Well, needless to say, this led to an awkward moment. But here's how JP responded.
Well, all I can say,
That's it.
I wasn't there, but all I can say is, the Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians 4:6, do not exceed what is written. And I don't see anything in Scripture that would support a falling back in the presence of God. I think I know what you experienced was genuine and real to you.
Now, I'm not an expert on body language or anything, but I think the fact that JP can't make eye contact with her as he responds to her story is very telling. This woman's testimony could be repeated untold thousands of times with people all over the world who have experienced a supernatural healing touch from God. And yet, the cessationist view is that falling under the power isn't scriptural, and these experiences are likely demonic. Justin is fond of saying that the Word of Faith preaches a different Jesus from the one in the Bible. Well, excuse me for saying, but if your devil is going around healing people, that's a different devil from the one in the Bible. Because Acts 10:38 says, God anointed Jesus of Nazareth, who went about doing good and healing all who were oppressed of the devil. Satan's in the oppressing and sickness business, not the healing business. People ask me sometimes why I'm Word of Faith. Well, one of the reasons is stories like this. God is supernatural, and it's natural for him to do the supernatural. It's not natural for him to be locked up in a sanctuary of formalistic, highbrow theologians who have a form of godliness but deny the power thereof. Hebrews 11:6 says that without faith, it's impossible to please God. And Jesus said that all things are possible to him who believes in Mark 9:23. Well, I'm a believer. How about you? Thanks for watching.